Sabhaye Namaha. In India, we have a lot of philosophers, those who made our country into famous with their writings, composing various works, etc. We have lots of good philosophers, writers, speakers who always thrive for bringing forth the culture and tradition of our nation. They never deviated their righteous path even a single step. They are always aware of what they are doing for their inner consciousness. They, moreover, gave importance for the consciousness, especially when we come across philosophers like Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan, even Vivekananda philosophy. These and all quite different from Jiddu Krishnamurti, because Swami Vivekananda philosophy brings forth the utmost traditional values of our Indian culture. Even Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan, he who fought for the freedom of the rights of the people, his philosophy also reaches even to a common man. Whenever we see the philosophers, their thoughts are very, very peculiar. Their inner motive is different from external views. Some sort of philosophies we can understand so easily from Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan or Swami Vivekananda, etc. When we come across the great writer, speaker, and philosopher Jiddu Krishnamurti, is not so easy to understand what he wants to say to the public. But he had lots of vision, division by division, to impart to the people whose consciousness is always a thrive to know the detailed description of our human values and its importance in each and every aspect of one's life. That's why I chose Jiddu Krishnamurti, whom maximum people can't understand his philosophical thoughts, but it is very, very interesting. It touches even a common man's attitude. That's why I chose this topic to discuss with you. We should not miss such a great philosopher and his philosophies. Jiddu Krishnamurti always near to the consciousness. His views always swifter and greater awareness creative modes. His tendency of clearing the philosophical doubts in his own way, whether it may be understandable or not, but if we deeply follow, it will be very interesting. So, most of the people do not know about Jiddu Krishnamurti. Some of them may not be known. Even some of the people who know his name, but they do not know about the philosophy of G.D. Krishnamurti. That's why I chose this topic. Let us have a detailed description of G.D. Krishnamurti and his philosophy. It will be very worth to our consciousness. So let us go with prayer. Vakratunda Mahakaya Koti Surya Samaprabha Avignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. G.D. Krishnamurti, who lived between 1895 to 1986, was eminent writer, speaker on philosophical and spiritual issues, including psychological revolution, the nature of the human mind, consciousness and evolutionary, meditation, human relationships, and bringing about positive social change. Maintaining that society was ultimately the product of the interactions of individuals, he held that fundamental change in society could emerge only through freely undertaken radical change in the individual. It had to be brought about a holistic transformation from within and insight into the various layers of our consciousness. Born into a Telugu family in what was then colonial India, he lived in his early adolescence next to the Theosophical Society headquarters at Adayar in Chennai. He then came in contact with influential Theosophists, Annie Besant and E.W. Leadbeater, who educated him, believing him to be a future spiritual leader. They put such confidence on him. However, Krishnamurti later broke away from the Theosophical Society and traveled internationally as an independent speaker and writer on fundamental human issues. He held many dialogues with eminent physicist David Bohm and several Buddhist scholars. Whether discussing politics with Indira Gandhi, debating philosophy with Rupert Sheldrake and Iris Murdoch, or challenging the audience to list the truth of his words, Krishnamurti engaged fully with every aspect of the human condition. He was awarded the UN Peace Medal in the year 1984. Let us see his language and essence of Krishnamurti. Neither Krishnamurti's style of writing, nor his language, nor ideas can be discounted. They are the major factors that made so many people follow him. He disregarded the stature of being a holy man, sadhu, and savior. His English was wonderfully elegant, British bred after all. He used terms and examples that we cannot subject to any preconceived ideas and prejudices, those that were not standard and boringly repeated in the past. The essence of his writings or teachings was not a learning system that had many steps. These ideas was to start anywhere and eventually reach the same place. He did not offer a school or cult of sort. Krishnamurti believed life itself was God, and every action manifested itself with God. The description and writing of his subject may seem so simple that you may go over it again and again and still be left lost. His teachings leave many people with unanswered questions, but like he said, truth was a pathless land. Most of our troubles came from our fear of life. Religion itself being a refuge from that fear. If we trusted life instead of fearing it, it would never betray us only by ourselves could we be betrayed. Those who look to Krishnamurti for a new religion or a new philosophy would be disappointed. Why? He does not offer something more, but always something less. The very simplicity of Krishnamurti's teaching confuses our sophisticated minds. His teaching shall seem anarchic and destructive only till the perception dawns that his blows are aimed at our fetters. It is then that we realize the life, unconditioned by personal fears, ambitions, and desires, is not a void but a plenum. Krishnamurti, the man and his mind. Let us see. The teachings of Krishnamurti do not have a school or organization, but as a humans with tendencies to categorize and organize. I am drawn to comparing him with Jean Paul, the father of modern existentialism. Krishnamurti's works also include the space of human in the social and political scenario. Krishnamurti states so very well that one cannot know of something unless the other is also present. Is it true? No. He gives the example of non-violence. One cannot know of non-violence unless you know that violence is. I mean, he's a practical man. Life itself is a movement of relationships, and we try to manipulate and control it even in the most common events of life. Let us see his views on self-consciousness. Krishnamurti does not trust ideals. He states that an ideal is what is not. A human cannot understand an ideal without knowing what the other part of it is. I cannot know that truth is without knowing what is false, and what non-violence is without knowing what is violence. Is it true? Truth cannot be seen as an object of desirability or attained because of its vastness and context. It cannot be reduced to an intellectual formula for our brains or eternity and reduced to a mere objective perspective. One cannot know of something in the present, even I cannot know of its moment during self-inquiry, other than the past, as the present shall not be understandable unless it passes into the past. Humans can only learn from their past and not from their present, as the present is this very moment. All introspection is a form of retrospection. Problems that affect our behavior cannot be resolved without awakening the creative intelligence or the intuition within us that will, in turn, fully grasp the circumstance and liberate us from our miseries. It is a fact that all self-consciousness is painful and is absent in the states of ecstasy and fullness. Krishnamurti states that when you are really happy and deeply in love, the I is not. Liberation is a state in which all I consciousness has ceased, because the duality indispensable to self-consciousness is no more. All our urges for personal elevation, which have cost the world so much blood and tears, are the merely a futile evasion of a fact. An endless search for the non-existing security, an absurd refusal to meet face to face with one's own true condition. The nature of mind as per Krishnamurti to be known by us. Okay. It is well known that the power to think is what makes us different from other living beings. But this unfortunately is also the reason why we may consider ourselves higher in the order of nature. Is it? This very essential power is mostly used and abused over time. Our mind is misinterpreted according to Krishnamurti, and we must start using it differently than it is used, and not as an object for self protection and self expansion. We are no more primitive humans, and survival instincts have to be abandoned so as to achieve higher awareness. He talks of how if society has to remain truly human, it must be a state of constant revolution and re-evolution. Revolution, re-evolution. The mind is being used more for ego-centered acquisitiveness and for personal growth and power. In turn, lessening others' opportunities, we must try and belong to an organic society and not an organized one. Because an organized society will always follow hierarchy, and the standards of morality may exist but not necessarily in the nobler sense like that of an organic society. An organic society means that is members have no choice but to belong to it. However, it goes even further. Okay, now let us see the free mind concept of Krishnamurti in detail. Okay, Krishnamurti states that every experience in our life is imprinted deeply in our mind, whose strength will vary in pleasure and pain and will crystallize in our life later on. This sounds as familiar as Freud, who said childhood experiences from the base of our adulthood and our adjustment to life. But it is more than this. Okay, Krishnamurti goes on to say further that every action we try to connect positively or negatively to comes back to form a habit and does not allow a free mind to grow. Sometimes even suffering is based on our habits, and when we try to overcome one habit, we form another. And eventually, as humans, we form the habit of repression. We must understand that there is no stopping of habits, but rather only cessation. We have to understand it and overcome it, which is acquired through great alertness and patience. The idea of a free mind is to look inward with this patience and alertness. On doing so, we free ourselves of the thinker who cages us. Once we destroy this cage of controlled thoughts, man finds a new freedom, which is not a freedom from painful experiences, but a release from the scar these experiences used to leave on the mind. When we come across the Krishnamurti's religious mind, how it will be, let us see. According to Krishnamurti, we all follow a religion blindly out of past conditioning or fear. We do not question or inquire what we may believe it or not to believe out of fear. A mind should be investigative and scientific in its approach and not bound by something or compelled. Religious matters make humans irrational, insane, and all these build the walls of our conditioning. The beginning of self knowledge is the beginning of the religious mind and not the knowledge of the Supreme Self, because that will again be belief in authority, and authority makes us imitate and dictates, and we have to learn to free ourselves from this. A religious mind does not separate the inner world and the outer. According to Krishnamurti, what is the difference between feeling and human mind? Feeling is a part of the mind. Okay. As per Krishnamurti, the mind includes desires, love, jealousy, emotions, everything. It includes contrary beliefs, double minds, and all that we understand and feel. What is different? Its manifestation and its intensity. The problem is not about feeling right or wrong, because humans will feel. Pleasure is not difficult, but with it come difficulties. But we want pleasure without difficulties. It is only when the mind is capable of living in totality that remorse, difficulty, and pain will have no meaning and feeling to it. According to Krishnamurti, living in totality involves not looking at life in the form of segments or as an idea, but rather as a series of ideas and strengths, and experience various facets of life at the same time, along with all the joys and sorrows in each facet. The less device we are within ourselves, the more we shall be able to experience the totality of life. So now, consciousness of the views on consciousness of Krishnamurti. According to Krishnamurti, when one becomes aware of one's conditioning, one understands the entire consciousness. Consciousness is the total field in which thoughts, functions, and relationship exist. All motives, emotions, desires, pleasures, fears, aspirations, longings, hopes, sorrows, joys, and inspirations are in that field. Consciousness can be divided into the active and the dormant, the upper and lower levels. All daily thoughts, feelings, and activities are on the surface, and below them is the subconscious. The aspects of our mind with which we are not familiar, which express themselves occasionally through certain intimations or imitations, intuitions, and dreams. We are occupied with one little corner of consciousness, which is most of our life. The rest that we call the subconscious, we do not even know how to get into. The subconscious does exist, and it is a trivial and stupid as a conscious mind, as narrow as bigoted, anxious, conditional, and tawdry, mean tasteless. When one is aware of the totality of consciousness, then one is functioning in full attention, not partial attention. We live our life in fragments. We are one person to work, and another with friends, and another at home. Same person have different frames. A mind that is fragmented shall never be aware of full consciousness, one must uncover one's mind layer by layer in order to understand the fragments one by one. This is a process that may take weeks, months, or even years. Freedom and awareness, according to Krishnamurti. Freedom is found in the choiceless awareness of our daily existence and activity. For Krishnamurti, every human with a mind to think will have an interpretation of the same. To be aware might not necessarily mean to give up on life and look for the internal truth, but to be able to live peacefully with an understanding of the life one leads, the relations one shares with one's environment and one's family and friends. A concept very similar to that of Dharma, which I cannot help but compare it with put simply as live your life the right way. Do what have to and be a good human being. And maybe that will lead to the final freedom. Although understudied Indian philosophers like Krishnamurti have a lot to add to the general philosophy of consciousness and mind. Simplicity and elegance mark Krishnamurti's work and writings, but one needs to put in deep thought to understand his concepts. It is essential that readers and researchers in the philosophy of mind and consciousness study Krishnamurti to gain further consciousness as a concept and human evolution, learning and growth in general. Let us see the flow chart of the article of Krishnamurti. Contemporary thought may have a lot to learn by a scientific study of mind and consciousness for the perspective of the eminent Indian philosopher Jiddu Krishnamurti. Awareness of self is an essentiality for the free mind. We have always looked at our past and troubled ourselves, but it is important that we dwell inwards and free ourselves from our ridicule and guilt. We must do this to avoid repression and self-blame. Another point. Society can be organized or organic. An organic society is preferred as per Krishnamurti, where individuals have no choice but to dwell in that society, but one where the interests of the individual and of society are the same. Another point. Religiosity and orthodox thought is often the result of conditioning from the early age. One must cultivate an investigative and scientific mind. There is no pleasure without difficulty. Okay? And living in totality, not in segments, is a must. We often just dwell on one part of consciousness and miss its holistic nature. One must uncover the mind layer by layer. Let us take home message of Krishnamurti. It is very important that we promote self-awareness and develop an insight into the various layers of the self for a complete understanding of the mind consciousness. We have to free ourselves from past conditionings and uncover ourselves layer by layer for a holistic understanding of consciousness and for personal growth. We want to run away from our own loneliness. We want to run away from our not only loneliness with its panic fears. So we depend on another. We enrich ourselves with companionship and so on. We are the prime movers and others become pawns in our game. And when the pawn turns and demands something in return, we are shocked and grieved if our own fortress is strong without a weak spot in it. This battering from the outside is of little consequence to us. The peculiar tendencies that arise with advancing age must be understood and corrected while we are still capable of detached and tolerant self observation and study. Our fears must be observed and understood now. There is no such thing as living alone for all living in this relationship, but to live without a direct relationship demands high intelligence, a swifter and greater awareness for self discovery. A lone existence without this keen and flowing awareness strengthens the already dominant tendencies, thus causing unbalance, distortion. It is now that one has to become aware of the set and peculiar habits of thought, feeling, which come with age, and by understanding them, make away with them. Consciousness is always of the past, never of the present. You are the conscious only of things that are over. Consciousness is therefore a movement of the past to the future. Thus, Jiddu Krishnamurti's philosophy make us to think practically, not theoretically. We should motivate ourselves. We should judge ourselves, not depending others' views. I think you might have understood a bit. Let us conclude. Srikanthaya Kalyana Niredanam Sri Venkatavasaya Srinivasaya Mangalam Mangala Sasana Parayarmadacharya Progamaihi Sarvaisha Purvairacharya Satkrutāya Stu Mangalam.